The rain poured heavily over the city as 68-year-old mechanic Walter Hayes slowly opened the doors of the company's oldest garage. For over 40 years, Walter had worked for Titan Motors. While executives came and went, Walter remained loyal. He repaired engines, trained young mechanics, and solved problems no one else could fix. But today felt different. A black luxury car stopped outside the garage. Out stepped Victoria Kane, the newly appointed CEO of Titan Motors. She was young, ambitious, and determined to cut costs. Victoria looked around the dusty garage with disappointment. "Why is this place still operating?" she asked. One manager nervously replied, "Walter works here. He's been with the company since the beginning." Victoria crossed her arms. "I don't care how long he's been here. This garage is outdated. Shut it down." Walter overheard every word. The manager hesitated. "But Walter has contributed." Victoria interrupted. "The decision is final." The next morning, Walter received an official termination letter. After 4 decades of service, he was gone. Not a thank you. Not a farewell. Just a signature on a piece of paper. Walter packed his tools quietly. As he left, several younger workers shook his hand. "You taught us everything," one said. Walter smiled sadly. "Take care of yourselves." Then he walked away. What nobody knew was that Walter had spent the last 8 years working on something extraordinary. Every evening after work, he stayed late in the garage. While everyone else went home, Walter continued experimenting. He wasn't building an ordinary engine. He was creating a revolutionary energy-efficient engine capable of doubling fuel efficiency while reducing emissions dramatically. Many years earlier, Walter had tried presenting his idea to company executives. Nobody listened. Most dismissed him as an old mechanic with unrealistic dreams. So he kept working in secret. Now, with no job and nowhere to go, Walter rented a small warehouse outside town. There, he continued developing his prototype. Months passed. Meanwhile, Victoria launched several expensive projects. She invested millions into flashy marketing campaigns and luxury vehicle concepts. But sales continued falling. Customers wanted innovation. Titan Motors offered promises. Competitors offered results. Shareholders became nervous. Board meetings grew tense. One afternoon, Victoria received alarming news. A small startup called Novatech Motors had announced a breakthrough engine technology. Industry experts called it revolutionary. News outlets couldn't stop talking about it. Victoria immediately scheduled a meeting with her research department. "Who developed this engine?" she demanded. An engineer looked through the reports. "The lead inventor is Walter Hayes." The room fell silent. Victoria's face turned pale. "Walter Hayes? Our former mechanic?" "Yes." Victoria couldn't believe it. The man she fired was suddenly becoming one of the most talked about inventors in the automotive industry. Weeks later, Novatech officially unveiled Walter's engine. The demonstration shocked everyone. Vehicles traveled nearly twice as far using the same amount of fuel. Manufacturing costs remained affordable. Environmental groups praised it. Investors rushed in. Within days, Novatech's value skyrocketed. Titan Motors stock began falling rapidly. Shareholders demanded answers. Board members questioned Victoria's leadership. One director slammed the report onto the table. "Do you realize what happened?" Victoria stayed silent. The director continued. "You fired the man responsible for the greatest automotive breakthrough in decades." Pressure mounted. Investors started selling shares. Media outlets criticized Titan Motors for ignoring talent. Headlines appeared everywhere. "The mechanic they fired built the future. The billion-dollar mistake. The CEO who lost an empire." Victoria knew she had made a terrible error. Desperate to save the company, she requested a meeting with Walter. Surprisingly, he agreed. The meeting took place in Walter's modest workshop. Victoria arrived expecting anger. Instead, Walter greeted her calmly. "Thank you for coming," he said. Victoria looked around. Blueprints covered the walls. Engine prototypes filled the room. This was where the future had been created. "I made a mistake," Victoria admitted. "A huge one." Walter nodded. "Yes, you did." Victoria took a deep breath. "I'd like to offer you a position. Whatever salary you want." Walter smiled. "It isn't about money." "Then what is it about?" Walter looked directly into her eyes. "Respect." The room became quiet. "For years," Walter continued, "people judged me because of my age and my position. Nobody cared about my ideas." Victoria lowered her head. She knew he was right. "I should have listened." "Yes." Walter paused. "But you weren't the first person to ignore me." Victoria asked carefully, "Can we still work together?" Walter thought for a moment. Then he surprised her. "Maybe." Hope appeared on Victoria's face. "But things must change." "What do you mean?" Walter explained that companies often focus only on titles, appearances, and short-term profits. True innovation can come from anyone. A mechanic. An intern. A janitor. A young graduate. Anyone. If people aren't heard, Walter said, great ideas die. Those words stayed with Victoria. After weeks of negotiation, Titan Motors and Novatech formed a partnership. Walter's technology became part of a new generation of vehicles. Sales recovered. Investors returned. But the biggest change happened inside the company. Victoria introduced new programs encouraging employees at every level to share ideas. No suggestion was ignored. No employee was dismissed because of age, background, or job title. Years later, Titan Motors became one of the world's most innovative companies. And every visitor noticed something unusual at company headquarters. Near the entrance stood a bronze statue. Not of a CEO. Not of a founder. But of an old mechanic holding a wrench. Beneath the statue were simple words. Never underestimate the person everyone else overlooks. And every employee who passed by remembered the lesson that saved an empire. The end date.